What's up, everybody? This is Partha from Winning Creative. Today, I wanted to share with you 5 mindset changes that you need to make in order to go from chasing your customers to attracting your customers. As somebody who's been building brands for a decade, I've built brands from literally complete ideas in my head to being recognized as the #1 brand in very crowded categories. And what I learned from this process is that brand building is not about going and chasing people. I think a lot of people in the marketing space tend to get this whole idea backward because they're consumed with a fear mentality and they get desperate and they feel scared. And so they employ all the wrong techniques that come from a fundamental ideology that isn't true to go after clients. And it ends up pushing away the people you actually want to work with. It doesn't end up bringing those people towards you. And the kind of people it brings towards you are also very fear-based. So it leads to its own host of problems. But companies that operate this way have, for example, much higher return rates and much higher churn rates than companies that operate through attraction. And it's a crazy thing. It's very fundamental and simple, but I'm going to walk you through it right now, 5 mindset shifts. So the first one is a shift from selling to serving. So if you're going into any interaction with the idea of what can I get from this interaction, then you're using that person. You don't want to be used when you interact with people. So why would you make somebody feel used when you interact with them? That's not really what the point of building a business is anyway. The point of building a business is to serve people, serve the community, and serve society. You want to create something that's a net positive for the world. You don't want to be taking from the world. Otherwise, you end up not, making the world worse for everybody else. And that's not what we want to do out here. So that mindset shift is about going to your customer with the mindset of, let me actually be a listener. Let me be an active participant and supporter of this person's life. Let me understand their goals. Let me understand their fears. Let me understand their motivations. Let me understand what they're really doing this for and what they're about. And let me find a way that I can contribute to what they do. Number 2 is offering value before transaction. So when people do marketing, they're typically just like, hey, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. And I think that approach it's valuable at times. It's valuable when you're testing an offer just to see, okay, can just a pricing shift in something make an impact in transaction value? And that approach can generate revenue for sure. But does it generate brand loyalty? No chance. It's just people taking advantage of a financial transaction and opportunity. They're not building any sort of allegiance or trust with you as a brand. So when you offer value, what you're actually doing is you're building a relationship with people first. Offering value can come in many ways. Like we've all heard about the ebooks and all the lead magnets and things that people do to get people to actually download something, share an email address, etc. But I think the problem with how a lot of people approach ebook strategies is that they're approaching it without thoroughly understanding their consumer, and they're approaching it transactionally. They're trying to get something out of the interaction. As a result, most of the ebooks and lead magnets that you see in the marketing space are just not very good. Like they make you as a recipient feel gross because you're just like, what is actually happening here? What is this person going to do for me that I can't do myself? But when you take that time kind of in that first point of shifting to a mindset of serving, and then you actually try to serve with the value you offer before your transaction, you end up actually creating assets that are much, much more beneficial and meaningful than assets that are more coming from a mindset of taking. And fundamentally, what actually happens on a human level is that when your mindset is primed to give, the ideas and opportunities that are in front of you, the paths that you can take, are a different set of choices than when you're in the mindset of taking. So that mindset of giving, that's why it's the first one. It's first and fundamental. Until you can establish a mindset of serving others and giving to others, the other strategies that you want to employ just won't work. And I'll give you an example. In my career, I've worked with a multitude of agencies, 8 or 9, and every single one of them came in with this mindset. And this was partially my fault too, because I didn't know any better. It was like, hey, we need to grow revenue, because I had pressure from other people to grow revenue for my business. And so it was like, how do I generate revenue? And it caused everyone into the room to enter this state of pressure and transaction What that ultimately did was it killed the creativity of the marketing campaigns. It killed the uniqueness, it killed the value. And until you pull that fear out of the room and you lead with love, you lead with positivity, you lead with a giving nature, you can't actually access the real value that is going to make your marketing efforts really meaningful. Third is focusing on building relationships, not just leads. I think that one of the most important things you can do with anytime you're intaking an email list is not just hitting them with like 7 million emails that are trying to sell them, but actually telling your story along the way. You want people to actually understand who you are, how you got to where you are, and the kind of person you are before they transact with you. And they can transact with you sooner than that if they have a really pressing need and they think you're the person, they've done their research, whatever that might be. But if you're focused on actually connecting with that person and building a relationship with them, you'll end up creating a series of assets that ultimately are very discoverable in terms of your personality and your nature. So when somebody's researching you before they work with you, they'll be able to go through your entire library of assets, and instead of seeing a bunch of things that are like, oh, click here, convert here, buy here, sign up here, it'll be like, hey, this is who I am, this is where I'm from, this is what my values are, this is the way in which I do business. And the latter example is a much better customer brand experience for somebody to go through when they're going through a transaction. And the other thing it does is it pushes away the people that are, not in that mindset, and it brings people who are operating in a state of calmness and abundance into your business. And those are just the best clients and partners to work with. The next thing is thinking of marketing as an invitation, not a plea. So this kind of goes back to that fundamental scarcity mindset that people tend to approach marketing with, because they're under pressure, whether it's from a boss, an investor, a peer, whatever that might be, and maybe it's internal pressure to generate results. That is immediately going to corrupt the creative process. And marketing is a creative skill, so is brand building. There's technical, rational, logical elements to the strategy that need to be deployed in a certain way, but at the root of it, there's a life energy to marketing that needs to be infused into the materials you make. So you can't just chat GPT your way through marketing. It's just not going to work. You have to take the time to sit down, understand your target customer, and actually speak to them in a meaningful way that they're going to resonate with. And that means inviting them to connect with you. That means not coming after them and chasing them and being like, hey, I need your money, I need your money, I need your money. It's not like that. It's like, hey, if you want to work with us, here's what it's like. You're more than welcome. I think we could help you a lot, but I'm not going to push you because that's not cool. Nobody wants to be pushed, and nothing that I'm feeling has any bearing on your business or what you need to be doing for your business. What I might believe is that my strategy, my product, whatever, is what you need. And I can share that with you and say, look, if you're interested in it, you're more than welcome to try it. Here's the price, here's how it works, here's the offer, whatever that might be. I think we can make a huge impact for you. However, I'm not going to chase you down to convince you to do that. I might be persistent in my follow-ups, I might have sequences built, but again, the overall tone and energy is to invite somebody to engage with you, to build a relationship with you, not to hunt them down and just beg them for their money. It's not cool, and I think too many people approach marketing in that way, and I'm so guilty of that. I've done it so many times in my life where I've also succumbed to that fear that comes into your mind when money might be tight and you're like, how do I generate some results? That's kind of what comes out of that. So you really do have to, what I do is I take the time to step away from the computer. Maybe I go on a walk, maybe I call a friend, I do something that makes me laugh, that makes me happy. And then I sit back down and then I say, okay, how can I actually approach this in a calm, happy way, regardless of what my perceived circumstance is? Because the thing is, this is, I think, the most beautiful thing about marketing is that you can have $1 million tomorrow if you build a funnel really well. You know what I mean? You could have all of the problems that are in your way can be solved in an instant, but they won't be solved if you're trying to solve them too hard. And that's such a weird thing to say, but it's something that you feel, and as you go through your process and experience, it is something that you should pay attention to and try to cultivate. It's just this intuition of am I approaching this the right way? Am I approaching this with positivity and love and abundance? And am I trying to give and serve and build a relationship, or am I taking? Am I trying to take from somebody because I'm scared? And you're just not going to get anywhere with that. Finally, the last thing is you need to attract with authenticity. So authenticity is just realness. It's just saying what's honest, what's true, even if it makes you feel vulnerable while you say it, because your story is so important to tell in the exact way that it happened. For me, one of the biggest things that worked for building my businesses was I was just very authentic and transparent throughout my journey of who I was, what I was about, what I was trying to do. And yes, like 100% people will try to take advantage of you for this. People will try to look for your flaws and will try to manipulate you and do what it takes. People, especially people who are in that fear-based state, right? They're going to see that as an opportunity to try and take from you. And it does require some inner resilience, which I have not had in the past many times. And it took me a lot of experiences to develop, but it does require that kind of resilience to develop the ability to withstand those types of attacks that you might face, and at the same time maintain a calm, positive authenticity that you can offer as value for your customers and for your clients and partners and just all the people around you. And in my view, I think being real with people, being honest with people, even if it's the truth that they don't want to hear, is critical. Learning how to deliver bad news or difficult to deliver criticism is so important in business, and people will thank you for it. People will thank you for being honest. Some of them won't. Some of them will get mad at you and they'll leave your life permanently, and that's just kind of how it goes. But at the end of the day, being authentic, being honest with people, and just striving to contribute and striving to give as much as possible is at the core the best way to do marketing. And outside of those philosophy shifts, you've got your funnels, you've got all the assets you're building, you've got your automations, you've got all the mechanisms of marketing that are going on in the background. But if the fundamental approach to it is one of taking, not giving, everything else about your business is going to suffer. But when you make that shift, what you're going to find is that people are going to start calling you. They're going to start hitting you up because they need help. People will start referring you clients, as opposed to you feeling like you're always spending money to go and get more business and feeling like there's never enough cash. Like that feeling can be gone completely when you make that shift within yourself. And it's one of those things where you have to make the shift first before the things around you actually match that. But it's a very, very important thing to do. And I hope that through this video, I'm able to reach at least one person out there that is able to make that switch and is able to make that change. And I hope that you see an incredible benefit to your business, to your mood, and to your happiness as a result of these mindset shifts. Thanks again. This is Partha signing off. Take care.